What's good, y'all? What's the numbers TV? It's your boy Poe Rowe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and like a video if you appreciate the content that Poe Rowe and What's the Numbers is providing. Today we back with another profile piece. This one is on Slow from SlowBucks. In this video we're going to take a look at his early life growing up in Queens, New York, and the different things he would get into throughout his early childhood and teenage years. Then we will highlight the many different roles he will play and rap entourages he will be a part of, before eventually creating his own movement in the rap game. After that, we will dig deep into the role Slow plays or played with many different artists that have seen him achieve much success in the music and fashion industry, although he has had some bumps and bruises along the way. And lastly, we will talk about how the SlowBucks movement has fared over the years, and also take a further look to see what Slow is up to today and what the future holds for him. Windsor Lubin, aka Slow, is from the north side section of Hollis, Queens. Growing up in that area of Queens, Slow, who proudly represents his Haitian roots, was always into certain things the hood had to offer. Outside from a young age, by the time he hit high school, Slow already knew a lot of people in and out his neighborhood. Slow was also known to be real fashionable in the way he dressed, always sporting the latest clothes and footwear that was hot at the moment. Queens was looked at as a hotbed for rappers in the early 90s, and Slow would fall in love with hip-hop like so many other kids around the world. By the time Slow was old enough to really run the streets, and of age legally to party in clubs, the biggest rapper in Queens was 50 Cent and his G-Unit crew. Slow would get his start and entry into the music industry by being around Sha Money XL. Sha Money, who produced a lot of 50 Cent's early mixtape material and then became the president of G-Unit Records, would help Slow move up the ranks within the G-Unit entourage. He would go from traveling with DJ Wu Kid, Lloyd Banks, and Tony Yayo, to eventually even being around and on the road with 50 Cent, who by this time was one of the biggest rappers in the game. The first time Slow would make news headlines as part of the G-Unit crew would be in 2005 when 50 Cent was supposedly in his old neighborhood filming footage for a documentary. After filming, 50 left in a different vehicle, and Slow was pulled over with 300 individuals, who which 2 of them had guns. Slow was later let go, while 2 others were hit with gun charges. He would continue to run around with G-Unit for the next few years, until forging a relationship with Dipset rapper Juelz Santana. And when Juelz started Skull Gang around 2008, Slow would be a part of his movement, but this time play a bigger role than he did at G-Unit. Slow would start to use his God-given talent and networking for Skull Gang, linking Juelz with other artists like Lloyd Banks to create music. What happened next was the song Beamer Benz a Bentley by Juelz and Lloyd Banks. The song was a radio hit, with the video being released in October of 2010. With a successful song under his belt, people started to pay attention to the moves Slow was making behind the scenes. About a year later in 2011, Slow along with his partner Bucks combined their name, forming SlowBucks and then SlowBucks TV, a platform created to make opportunities for those less fortunate to be around certain people in high places. They would also start creating t-shirts with a snail on it in many different colorways to promote the SlowBucks brand. The t-shirts caught on like wildfire, and before you knew it, half the industry was wearing a SlowBucks shirt. The SlowBucks brand and movement would gain some nice traction in the streets of New York City, as well as on the internet. They would open up a recording studio in their Hollis neighborhood, where other artists like Fabulous and Meek Mill would stop by after building relationships with the SlowBucks duo. Eventually, Fab and Meek will be featured in a video along with some SlowBucks artists for a song off their mixtape. SlowBucks' hard work was paying off, and by 2014 they had both a record deal with Epic Records and a distribution deal with Mark Echo for their clothes. The plan was to sell their clothes on a bigger scale and release music to a wider audience. But almost simultaneously with their deals, their relationship with 50 Cent started to turn sour. Rumors of turmoil between the two camps were already in the air. 50 was supposedly feeling a way about Slow and Bucks because they weren't being loyal by being around his enemies like Rick Ross and having them wear SlowBucks t-shirts. Although it's hard to say what was it exactly that had 50 upset. Some say it was the Trav diss song, others say the picture with his son, or just a combination of it all. But it all came to a head in June of 2014 at Hot 97's annual Summer Jam. 50 Cent was on the bill as one of the headliners and was performing his set when Brooklyn rapper Fabulous hit the stage with his small entourage to perform with 50. One of the individuals in Fab's crew was SlowBucks. As Fab and 50 are performing their song, certain people on stage are starting to notice Slow is somewhere he shouldn't be. And before you know it, Slow was getting jumped by a few guys and was eventually robbed of his chain. The chain snatcher will make headlines. Slow would do interviews, have a press conference announcing a lawsuit. 50 will make jokes about the chain being fake. They'll report to someone getting arrested for the robbery. But after a few months, you wouldn't hear too much about it anymore. But after the hits of the brand the whole incident had on the SlowBucks name, word will start to spread that SlowBucks lost their music and clothing deals, although some say it was people pulling strings from a high position to blackball SlowBucks and close a few doors on them. Slow and Bucks would keep it pushing though. Using the relationships they had built over the years, the two still had a lot of friends and allies in the industry. They would start moving around with different artists in the game, bringing their sense of fashion along with connections to the table. Slow would start to frequent LA and become a mainstay in Nipsey Hussle's entourage, appearing in a bunch of videos with the rapper before he was tragically killed in March of 2019. His ex-girlfriend, Shea Douglas, who happens to be Ashanti's younger sister, would drop a vid in April of 2020 accusing Slow of abuse. 50 would take the opportunity to shed a little more light on the situation. The other half of the duo, Bucks, was doing something similar with other artists like Nav and Cash XO before he was sentenced to 4 years in December of 2018 for a gun case he caught back in 2015. So at the moment, he's supposed to be locked up but could be out or on house arrest due to COVID. Slow is still out here running around the industry. He just recently dropped some hats at $500 a pop that continue to sell out. So it's safe to say he still knows what's hot when it comes to fashion related to hip hop, as it's mostly designer and urban brands that are in demand at the moment. But yo, it's What's the Numbers TV is a quick profile piece on Slow and an update on Bucks from the whole SlowBucks campaign. I'm pretty sure you guys remember when they was out there running around New York City. They had a nice little run at the end of the Skull Gang. You know, Skull Gang was more based on music, and then they kind of just transformed into SlowBucks. Now, SlowBucks wasn't even about music at first. It was pretty much a bunch of people that was partying. If you remember SlowBucks, they had a bunch of the scammers, a bunch of the dudes getting money, some people that was trying to rap or was doing different things, and then they all just linked up, dropping clothes, and they had everybody wearing the slow. They was going out, going crazy in the clubs, busting it up. Eventually, they transformed the fashion into a record deal. Even though they didn't really have no rappers like that, they still ended up getting a record deal, got a couple artists. I think Bucks started rapping, and they continued to do the t-shirts and all that. They had they run. A bunch of artists in the game mess with them because they going out every night. They pretty much got the club scene on lock. So any artist that comes to the city, he's going to get next to them. You know what I'm saying? They got the toys, they got the cars, they got, you know what I'm saying? They going crazy. They busting it up in the clubs. They renting all the cars. They got the jewelry. They looking good in the streets. So any artist from out of town was coming to New York and linking up with Slow and Bucks. Now, it took a hit. It kind of went downhill fast after the whole 50 Cent got involved. Like he started, 50 Cent had a relationship with Mark Echo. He just was their big homie at one point. So when they went to kind of start beefing with him and the whole chain snatching happened and Slow kind of did the press conference, it kind of put a hit on the brand for a minute. But then again, they might have been ready to cash out. You never know. So at that point, they might have been ready to cash out. So it was ready. They might have just been ready to sell certain things or just get out of their deals and continue to do what they was doing. Now, there was little rumors after the whole chain thing that Slow and them was mad at Fab and they had like a little situation, but that got cleared up real quick. Shout out to Soup and all that. If you know, you know. Now, like I said, man, SlowBucks had they run. They still out there doing, Slow still running around. He just dropped those hats, the Queens and all that for $500 a pop. They selling out every chance they get. Bucks, he should be coming home soon. He had 4 years in 2018, so it's about to be 2021 already. So maybe sometime this year, next year, he should be a free man. But like I said, man, it's What's the Numbers TV. We back for the new year. This is a longer video because I had to kind of get involved with getting deep with certain things. And he has a way bigger story, but I hope you guys enjoy this one. Go follow the Instagram. Go cop up on the merch. Become a member to the channel, the Patreon, the emails in the description. And holler at me if you need me, boy. I'm out of here. What's the Numbers TV? It's your boy, Paul Rowe. Peace.